Hello there, everybody. Today I would like to debunk the myth that Confederates are Nazis. Now, this baseless assault has been hurled at Confederates for a very long time now by many liberals out there and some conservatives as well. But the truth is that this is a baseless generalization, is in fact made up and comes down to a basic misunderstanding of ideologies, and in some cases is just a blatant disregard for facts and only a way to stir up controversy. So let us examine the two. Let's begin with the Nazis first. The Nazis, aka the National Sozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterspartei, aka the NSDAP, were an extremely authoritarian party who stressed the failure of the free market and blamed much of Germany's problems on the Jews, communists, and bankers. The Nazi Party ideal was created by Hitler in the 1920s and 30s by merging the two prominent movements in Germany at the time, those being nationalism and socialism, into the Nazi ideal of National Socialism. National Socialism, as the Nazi Party stressed, called for an all-encompassing state which was ruled by an all-knowing leader, aka Führer, who was served by the people in an extremely centralized statist authoritarian manner. As a general concept, National Socialism opposes capitalism, communism, international socialism, and liberalism. The program advocated uniting the German people through pan-Germanism, implementing profit-sharing in industry, nationalizing trust, providing an extensive welfare state, instituting government control of the media, and persecuting Jews, in part by canceling their German citizenship. The program stated that, quote, "Only a member of the race can be a citizen, no Jew can be a member of the race," end quote. Hitler's variety of National Socialism was founded on a Weltanschauung, or translated worldview, in which history was reducible to a racial struggle in the social Darwinian sense. National Socialism was thus a messianic movement centered in Führer principle and anchored in the thesis that only through racial purity could Germany find her salvation. The movement was based on anti-Semitism, anti-Marxism, hyper-nationalism, manifesting itself through pan-Germanism and the quest for Lebensraum. Now, let us examine the Confederate principles. The Confederacy was a minarchist state, that is, a country that advocates the smallest amount of central government possible and leaves much up to the individual states and communities. It is also safe to say that there were many anarchist Confederates, that is, at the time, very rural individualists whom distrusted the state and government intervention altogether. This in no way was similar to the Nazis. The Confederacy also had many Jewish members, most notably Judah P. Benjamin, who served in the Confederate cabinet, and David Levy Ewell, who had around 2,000 Jews serve in the Confederate armies. The Confederacy was not militaristic and was not very nationalistic. In fact, many felt a higher loyalty to local communities and the individual states than the Confederacy as a whole. Many Confederates back then and today advocate the free market, that is, laissez-faire capitalism and no state intervention in the market at all. Another total contradiction of Nazi ideology. Same goes for the media, and no invasion of lives into the lives of individuals. While many equate slavery and racism with the Confederacy and the Confederate flag, many Southerners did not own slaves and were not fighting for the institution of slavery, but rather for the principles of individual freedom. Slavery was and is a vile institution, and saying the North in the Civil War was as magical emancipator is a complete and total fallacy. The North was just, if not more, racially charged than the South at the time. In fact, the North held many slaves before the war, and even to this day, the two ships on the New York State flag must indeed be slave ships. Now, let us compare some Lincoln and Adolf Hitler quotes. I'm sure most of you have heard this one. This is by Abraham Lincoln. "If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would do that." Now, Lincoln also proposed a 13th Amendment that would protect the institution of slavery to keep Southern secessionists at bay, but needless to say, I suppose that failed. Another quote from Lincoln, quote, "I will say, then, that I am not, nor have ever been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races, that I am not, nor have ever been, in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor of intermarrying with white people, and I will say in addition to this that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality, and insomuch as they cannot so live, While they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior, and I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race. Now, let's give some Adolf Hitler quotes. Now, these are from Mein Kampf. The individual states of the American Union could not have possessed any state sovereignty of their own, for it was not these states that formed the Union. On the contrary, it was the Union which formed a great part of such so-called states. And this is another one from Adolf Hitler. National Socialism, as a matter of principle, must lay claim to the right and to force its principles on the whole German nation without consideration of previous federated state boundaries, and to educate in its ideals and conceptions. Just as the churches do not feel bound and limited by political boundaries, no more does the National Socialist idea feel limited by the individual state territories of our fatherland. The National Socialist doctrine is not the servant of individual federated states, but shall some day become the master of the German nation. It must determine and record the life of a people, and must therefore imperiously claim the right to pass over state boundaries drawn by a development we have rejected. Now, I will put a link to the side of a few playlists about the comparison between the Union and the Nazis and their ideals. But the truth is, the Confederates are not Nazis, and those racists that masquerade as Confederates are nothing more than Hitler-era apparatchik leftovers giving the party line. It's time to stop falling for this assault on reason and stop believing the mass media indoctrination. It's time to see the real fascists staring you right in the face.